Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to go over some upgrades on the dbxle 2.0. I get a lot of questions about what type of upgrades I've done to mine. I know that these have become pretty popular, especially over this past holiday season. A lot of people got them, so we're going to go over a few things today and let's get started. First off, we're going to talk about the tires and wheels. These are the tires and wheels that come with the dbxl. These things are pretty bad. The beads blow and they balloon really bad. The foams rip apart about 45-50 miles an hour. That's all you're going to get out of those before they explode. One thing I would like to say is this tire tool that comes with this car is absolute junk. Throw this thing away, get yourself a 24mm socket, and use a ratchet. You'll have no issues taking these tires off. Be real quick. That being said, I do use the MX43 Badland tires. These are for the X-Max, so they do take some modification to mount them on here. The center hole's got to be drilled out to 18mm. It's a pretty quick fix. You just get yourself some step bits. I can put a link to a set of these in the description. So yeah, grab yourself some step bits, drill each wheel out to 18mm, and you're done. Next up, we're going to talk about the DJI V2 wheel extenders. The V1s will work also, but the V2s has some extra support in a different O-ring system. I run the V2s. They make the car a little bit wider, and they also make it so the wider Badland tires don't rub on the fender or the wheel wells of the car. Alright, moving on. Next up, we're going to talk about steering upgrades. One of the more popular servo upgrades is the high-tech D845WP. I think a lot of people use this servo because it's cheap. It's about $100. It's powerful, and you can buy them pretty much anywhere. So yeah, you can get these at Amazon, AMain, eBay. Pretty much anywhere you look that sells RC parts will sell one of these. A few things to keep in mind is, one, you're going to have to get some adjustable steering links. The spline location on this servo is actually a little bit farther back than the stock one, so you need the links to be a little bit shorter. These are the DJI adjustable steering links I got from Dave's Discount Motors. Another thing to keep in mind is that the servo itself is a little bit taller than the stock one, so you're going to have to put some spacers on there. I have seen some people space the box all the way up. I chose to just space the servo up. Either way works fine. This servo is very powerful. I know they make a dual servo kit for these cars, but I feel that that's totally unnecessary. One is more than enough. I actually had to turn the voltage down on this one during speed runs because it steered so fast. Alright, moving on. In this part of the video, we're going to go over a few basic chassis upgrades. As you can see, I have some of the Losi black and silver chassis braces on there. I don't have too much stuff on there. I feel like doing all the metal diff cases and metal suspension arms just adds a ton of weight and it's totally not necessary. I've been running this car for nearly 6 months. Like I said, I drive it 4 or 5 times a week. Jump it, crash it, speed run, drift it, do whatever. All this extra metal is just going to add a ton of weight and it's going to decrease your performance. And you'll probably just end up breaking more parts because it'll be so heavy. That being said, let's go over what we do have on there. This is the rear Losi brace, the front Losi brace, the top plate, and the metal servo saver. And I did put some Losi metal spindle carriers on there because I drifted into a wall. Not sure if these are needed, but since I put them on there, I haven't had any issues with them. So I would say it's a pretty good upgrade. You don't really need much more metal than this. You don't want the car too heavy. Every bit of extra weight is just going to slow you down and put more strain on the cars. That being said, we're going to talk about suspension next. I see quite a few posts about people saying that the stock springs are just too soft. After a couple days, they don't rebound anymore. The car just sits all saggy. One thing you can do is upgrade the springs. On here I have the Angel and Demon Off-Road HD 3.0 springs. I'll put a link in the description for these as well. But these things are way stiffer than the stock ones and they work a lot better. They work great off-road too, but check this out. Thing rebounds like a beast. No issues at all for this heavy car. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description for those. These shock covers are just off eBay. I can also put a link for those if people are interested. But those help protect the shocks from rocks and stuff. This thing flings gravel like crazy. We'll take a look at the bottom plate on here. It's pretty beat up because I do drive this car a lot. But yeah, upgrade your springs, put some shock covers on there, and you'll be all set. Next up, we're going to talk about some power upgrades. The DBXLE 2.0 comes with a Firma 160 rebranded Hobbywing Max 6 ESC. It's not very powerful. Definitely not a good choice for a car that weighs almost 35 pounds. I would say that that's more suited for a A-scale car, maybe a 10-scale Traxxas Max, something like that. But definitely not a 5th-scale car. It's just, these things are pretty gutless out of the box. And I think anyone that's driven a stock one would agree with me that it does need a power upgrade. That being said, a few things you can do. One, upgrade this pinion gear. I would recommend an 18-tooth pinion with a stock spur. That's going to give you quite a bit of extra speed right off the bat and kind of liven the car up. Two, actually upgrade the ESC and the motor. I'm running a Castle XLX2 here. If you guys have seen my videos, you know that this car rips. It's just a complete animal and it's a blast to drive. I'll put a quick clip in of the car driving around. So check that out, and also check out this motor in ESC. Got the 1100 kV sensor motor in there, and we do run it in SmartSense. Also, this motor mount you see on here, this actually isn't needed. I only put it on there so I could run some larger pinions, so I can do some speed runs. But if you just want to do a basic upgrade, 18-tooth pinion, 52 spur, upgraded ESC and motor is all you need for this car. It'll be a blast to drive. All right, moving on. Real quick, before we wrap this video up, I wanted to address one very common question: batteries. What type of batteries do I run? In this car, they recommend a 5,000 milliamp smart battery, which is way too small in my opinion. It's kind of laughable that they think a car this size should run on 5,000 milliamp batteries. You're really only going to get 10-15 minutes of runtime out of something like that. For how much those cost, that is just not very cost effective in my opinion. So for me, I run these SMC 9700 120C graphene 4S packs. These are big batteries. They take a while to charge because they're so big, almost 10,000 milliamp. But you get 35-40 minutes of runtime, even 45 minutes to an hour if you're just cruising around. And I think these are the way to go. One thing to be said though is the battery trays will have to be modified. As you can see, I have the battery in there on its side. All I had to do was cut off one side and kind of Dremel it and clean it up to make it smooth so that the battery fits in there nice and easy. Real quick fix, take you about 10-15 minutes to modify your tray on one side of each and you'll be all set. Lastly, we're going to go over a few tools, so let's go check that out. If you're still watching at this point in the video, just want to go over a couple last things before I let you go. This is a really nice car. I know they're not cheap and people want to take care of them, make them last. So I would recommend a nice quality set of tools to go with it. That way you don't strip out any bolts. Right here I got some MIP drivers and speed bits. These work great. They seem to fit the hex bolts a lot better than most tools. So I do recommend picking up a set of those. I also use a 1/4 inch impact driver. I'd be real careful with that. I use it for loosening mostly, not for tightening. It does make the job easier, but you can strip bolts if you're not careful with that. Also, like I said, get rid of this thing and get yourself a 24mm socket and ratchet for the wheels. It's going to make your life a lot easier. And if you think you have enough skill to do soldering work on this car, do your own electronics, this is a really nice digital Weller soldering iron. They're a little over $100. This is one of the nicest ones you can buy on the market, I would say. You're not going to have any issues with this guy. I use it all the time. Comes with a bunch of different tips. The tips are replaceable. You can put thicker ones on there, and it's the way to go. Well, I hope this video helps some people out. It's really for all the new guys joining us in the DBXL family. So we'll check it out, and we'll see you guys out there. Thanks.